public hearing on the proposed issuance of a non-voted limited general obligation bond, also known as an LGO bond. We are going to proceed in an orderly way, and I ask your cooperation in following the procedures. When you address the board, begin by stating your name and address and speak slowly and clearly. The purpose of this hearing is to afford individuals an opportunity to present information and opinions to the board regarding the proposed LGO bond. We want to assure that everyone who wishes to speak will have the opportunity of addressing the board about the proposed LGO bond. Please limit whatever information you present to that subject. Before accepting comments from the public, I would like to introduce Superintendent Dr. Ken Russell to present information to be considered by the board and those in attendance. Ken.
Thank you, Chair Carroll. On February 8, 2022, the district voters approved a 2-year replacement levy for security, facilities, and technology improvements, otherwise known as capital levy, which authorized collection of $998,000 in 2023 and $1,018,000 in 2024 for the purpose of paying costs of making certain security, facilities, and technology improvements throughout existing school facilities, which I will refer to in this public hearing as the improvements. The district is in need of accomplishing the improvements middle school project as soon as possible before the collection of all the taxes from the capital levy. The total estimated cost of the improvements are $4,200,000, and the district does not have sufficient money on hand available to pay these costs because the taxes haven't been collected. Under these circumstances, state law and the capital levy resolution authorize the district to issue a non-voted limited general obligation bond, known as the LGO bond, to finance a portion of the cost of the improvements. Let the record reflect that prior to tonight, notice of this public hearing was given by advanced publication in the Spokesman Review, a newspaper of general circulation within the district. After due consideration, the district administration believes it is the best interest of the district to issue an LGO bond to pay for a portion of the cost of the improvement. The proposed LGO bond will be issued in the principal amount of $1,280,000 and will mature on December 1st, 2024. The exact date, form, terms, price, interest rate, purchaser, and repayment schedule of the LGO bond will be fixed by a resolution number 02-2306 of the board for consideration after the hearing. The LGO bond will be repaid from legally available money from the capital projects fund and the general fund. The tax proceeds received from the capital levy and deposited in the capital projects fund will be used to pay principal of the LGO bond. State law does not allow the use of such tax proceeds to pay the interest portion of the LGO bond. Instead, interest will be paid from money in the general fund. Kashmir Valley Bank, the bank, has offered to purchase the LGO bond under a certain bond purchase agreement, a copy of which is included in your board packet. Resolution number 02-2306 on the board's agenda this evening authorizes the issuance, sale, and delivery of the LGO bond, and it is available for review upon request. Let's see. Following this hearing, if the board determines that the issuance of the LGO bond is in the best interest of the district, taking into account the public testimony presented at this public hearing, the board may authorize the issuance, sale, and delivery of the LGO bond through the adoption of Resolution 02-2306. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent Ken. We will now take testimony from the public. Begin with the first speaker, and then we have written submissions. I will now read the first 3 minutes of those submissions into the record. Also, each submission will be entered into the record in its entirety. Let the record show that there were no members of the public wishing to speak that attended the public hearing, and no written submissions provided to the district. Are there any others who wish to speak concerning the proposed issuance of the LGO bond? Seeing none, Let the record show that no further speakers came forward. Thank you for your participation. The public hearing is now closed.
It's just, seems formal, you know, it's a process to go through, and it's been a long time since we've done one of those, so people may not have experienced that.
Yes.
So Jim, we're good with the public hearing, correct? Okay. And you want to stick around until after the resolution?
And I'll just present briefly the
Okay,
content of the resolutions.
okay,
Answer any questions.
sounds good. So I think we're ready for a regular.
Okay, that sounds good. So, calling to order the board meeting, the Board of Directors, Riverside School District, February 23rd, 2023, at Riverside Elementary School at 5:37 p.m. We'll begin with our flag salute. Jocelyn, please.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jocelyn. And now we're open to remarks for the good of the school.
Hello, board, community. I am Julie Babbis, principal here at Riverside Elementary School, and this is Allison LaRue, fifth grade teacher. We had a discussion with our leadership team about what we should share with you today, and so we wanted to share with you, we are one of 8 schools in the state that have had the opportunity to pilot the MTSS app tool. There are 3 other schools in our area: Deer Park Elementary School, our school, and Audubon. The rest are on the west side of the state. And this has been a tool that's really helped us as a school gather data on our kiddos in terms of behavior, academics, mental health, SEL needs. And so we're going to share a little bit about that with you today. Allison will kind of show you the teacher aspect and how it's been helpful for her, and then I'll do a brief introduction of some of the data.
Yeah, so start off, I just wanted to share kind of as a teacher how I use it, and I personally really like it. I think it's really helpful with communication, like you read about like behaviors, academics, mental health, all that. When I first log in, this is like the first screen that shows up, and this is like for the school. I could see any type of support request that was in there for the whole school. What I mostly do as a teacher is I go down to here where this will show just all of my class, and I can pick on a student, whoever I'm concerned about, or whatever I'm looking for. So I'll pick on this girl. And then from here, there's 4 things you can do. And the support referral I really like, because that is kind of like more like academic intervention as well. Like I'm seeing something, say Addison was struggling with reading. She wasn't an intervention kiddo, but I wanted to follow up with Trisha about it. I could put this in there, and Trisha would be notified that we need to talk. Instead of me trying to have to go find her and hope that she's there, it makes it a little easier. So I really like that, and same thing with like math, and then also behavior. If I'm noticing like kind of a pattern in behaviors or something abnormal, I can connect to Jess to get support that way. And again, it just tells us both that we need to talk to each other rather than address each other. And same thing with the mental health. And then I do appreciate that absence for 3 consecutive days, just for tracking. Like, you know, is there a pattern to how much like often a student is gone, or you know, how is it affecting them otherwise? So that's that support referral. And then kind of probably through needs hope, that's another option. This is more kind of any type of thing that any warning signs. I know that as teachers hear what they say, like we're witnessing some stuff, and so it's something that we kind of notice that we want to document. We click one of these. I was hearing stuff about teachers. I could give a little note, and then they would notify staff, and we notify them. It kind of goes straight from my computer to them. I really like the academic one, and I used it, for example, one of my students worked really hard on math, and really wanted to try to get their score a lot higher, and they did, and so I put this in, and so they got called out to the office, and they told us it there, and it just made it more meaningful for them rather than just coming to me as well. And same thing with behavior, I put that in as well. I had a student that was like up and down at the beginning of the year, and then the plan just like really leveled out, and it's doing great. So just having that be recognized in the office, like for good things, so not just fall down for something bad happening. They're like, oh, that was a great thing. So it kind of helps with that. And then any personal or after school. And then this one is probably one of the most frequently used. This is kind of, we use this kind of twofold. One is for more documentation. So you're in the classroom, something's going on, you need people to know about it. Say Addison was throwing at you, but say she was argumentative with me. Maybe I was able to solve it in my classroom. Like I didn't need administrative support. I just wanted them to know. I could say, okay, we had a conference, we took a break, but I'm just going to document. So that way, if I typo and I can typo here, when I go to request support, it will still ping to all these people, but they won't be like, okay, I gotta get there. Like, okay, noted that this happened, but it's taken care of. Kind of here what we do, it's kind of 3 strikes throughout. So if she did this 3 times, and I was documented, at the end, I would not put documentation only. I would, in the description, be like, no, this is the 3rd time. And then when I request support, then at some point, Tyler and it's pretty quick, usually. As long as they're not tied up somewhere, they usually come pretty quickly. That just helps with that documentation. I talked to my own 5th grade kids, and they're like, it's just nice to keep us all on the same page. And this is what we strike throughout and what.
Yeah. This tool right here has taken so much off of say with our radio calls. In the building, we get the text, they come through directly to our phones. Every single one of us that are on that list, which you saw. Instead of the teacher having to call the office, I need this person, we would get on the radio. It just has cut down a lot of the time getting to the issue that needs to be done. So this tool has really helped the office a lot.
And then for kind of on that same topic, I want to if I had something, and this is really where it really helps, like an emergency, like I needed to like get my kids out or something was going on, I could just hit this emergency button, and I wouldn't even have to type anything. This would just tell all of them that they need to come now. I don't have to try and, okay, manage everything, call the office at the same time, or wait for somebody to know what you do that. So that's really helped us to get a lot of like off our plate. We don't have to be like typing an email while something's happening, like we can get support right away. So
Thank you, Allison. And
Thanks, Ellen.
so yeah, it's been really helpful for the teachers, like she said. And you know, one of our, well, many of our big 5, right, is talking about collaborative teams and being able to talk together about kids, what kids need, and the whole child. And so this really helps us look at the whole child, academic behavior, mental health. And so one of the nice things that I like as an administrator as well that we can share with our teams is I'm now going to show you my administrator dashboard. So this shows us some very specific data that we can collect. So I had put it all the way back to the beginning of the year. Please keep in mind that at the beginning of the year, we were in a 1.0 version. We're now 2.0. So there's been some updates and some changes. So the data at the beginning of the year is not as accurate. I would say it's about November when 2.0 was launched. But you can see here with this data that so far this year, support referrals, we have 103. Those support referrals, at the beginning of the year, we kind of were confused at those were supposed to be our behavior referrals, but really support referrals, if you remember back to what Allison shared, that's the academic interventions or the behavior interventions, mental health. So we have about 103 of those referrals that we have come across our table and that we have supported kids with. We have 320 just in time. Those are the behaviors that Allison shared. They're either the documentation only or they're ones that have had to come across my desk that I've had to work with. In terms of emergency situations, we've had 36, and that just means that we had a kiddo that was maybe in crisis. where we needed to get down there to help the teacher. The teacher has 24 other kiddos that they're trying to manage, and there's one kid that just needs to be taken out of the class because they're having some hard time. And so as soon as we get that, it pings across to my watch, Kyle's watch, Lori's phone, my phone. And so we have a number of people that it notifies. So in case I'm tied up or Kyle's tied up or somebody, there's always somebody that can get there. And so that's a really nice feature. And then our celebrations and our hopes, we just started to implement that. And like Allison says, it's really cool. Kids get to come up. We have the bell in the front. They get to ring the bell. We have prizes that I tie in. And we always try to also just give that positive reinforcement. And I always ask them, hey, you met your goal. What's your next goal? And so they'll set a goal with me. They'll relay it to the teacher most of the time, or they'll set it with me, and I check in daily. I'll see them in the hallway. Hey, how you doing on that goal? Did you read 20 minutes last night? So I try to check in with every kid and see how they're doing. And so when they make those goals, it's really cool celebration for them to come up. And then you can kind of see here some more data. It shows our hot days. You can see Wednesday, a little bit of a hot day. So that's our busiest days in terms of our support days. We're halfway through the week, kind of makes some sense. And it also is nice, kind of shows you our hour, right? And you can kind of see lunchtime, recess time, surprise, surprise, right? Some of the unstructured time, we have some high referrals going on there. And then this is an awesome piece of data that I really appreciate, our PBIS team really appreciates. This shows us where our biggest need is. Right now, our biggest need is in the classroom. We have a lot of kids that are having a tough time in the classroom, and that makes sense, right? You think of COVID, and kids are still, adapting to being back in school. COVID is gone, but we're still seeing some social interactions that, we're struggling with. And then our next hot spot is the playground. So we've been talking about what can we implement, right, to make sure kids are successful. So this has been a really great tool. It also lists students, but I'm not going to share that but it lists kind of the kiddos that we really need to target. So this has been wonderful. Like I said, we're one of 8 schools in the state. Every week I get together with the other principals on a Zoom call and with the programmer, and it's pretty cool because the teachers will let me know, hey, can we get this feature added, or I don't really like this, and so I'll take their feedback and I'll share it. And so we've really been able to customize our dashboard, which is really cool too. So any questions or anything you'd like to know about?
The data follow the kid year to year. So if you have a kid that needs a little extra support, from here, the next teacher will have that same information from the previous year?
Yeah, so MTSS will follow, and once the pilot is complete, it actually will merge with Skyward, which is the OCI system. So everything that we're putting in here will eventually merge in there as well. So they'll be able to see all the way into high school what we are collecting here and all the work we're doing here. So they'll see a trail of all of that. So that's a really cool feature.
If that's all bundled together in a pretty good collection of data, do teachers use this when they have certain conferences?
I would. It was fairly new last time we had conferences, so I didn't go over it then. But I would, if something is a pattern, or we can look at our own data and look at things we struggle with this Monday or this week. I definitely would. And I look towards the conferences.
And I do share this when I have meetings with parents, and I'll pull it up, and it's nice because I'll be able to say, hey, the teacher has tried this, these interventions with your kiddo. We tried this, and we tried this, and we tried this. And so that's where we bring that, and we have a conversation with parents, what ideas do you have? This is what we tried. And so this is a nice feature to bring in the parents in that collaborative process as well. Very good.
Because it seems to be successful. The other campuses will be interested in doing this in the future with the district.
Right now, Chatteray uses Swiss. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's pretty similar. Not mobile, but it gets the same data. And I think we're studying it right now to have more of a uniform approach. Everybody's trying to do something where we're working on meeting social emotional learning needs of students, mental health, but we haven't found a sweet spot yet, but we are studying.
So this is 2.0 version, and based on the conversation I had last week, we're going to be looking at 3.0 very soon, and there will be some additional updates, so we're excited to kind of see what those will be based on our feedback.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Any other remarks for the good of the schools?
Hello. Hello. So I'll start off with I'm Matthew Himley, and my address too, right?
No.
PO, was that? Or was that just for the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just had a question, and it is what is the district policy on responding to threats from one student to another?
I don't remember the number of the policy right now.
Is there, where can I find that? How can I get a hold of that?
You just want the actual policy number of
I'd like to,
what's wrote down.
yeah, to read it and to see, and then also maybe at a future time to see how that's interpreted.
So we post all of our policies on our website, policies and procedures. And so you can look there, but also we can send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can send it to you. I mean, I know we're meeting tomorrow, so I can bring the policy to the meeting if you want me to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Other things?
Kindergarten registration form. Let's go ahead and get that in to both Federal and Riverside. Looking forward to next year. I can't believe we're talking about next year already. We are. I know. It's amazing. And she mentioned spring conferences. We're looking forward to getting parents in the building. So
When does kindergarten close? When does it close?
the registration, or yeah, May.
May. You gonna let us know how much higher it is?
But we
Oh, we
always
register all the
yeah,
way
we
through.
register all the way
Yeah,
through to
Yeah.
get started.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's nice to know.
You get those, those
And
grass
we are
fingers.
moving our kindergarten night up into May this year instead of, we did it in August last year, and we want to try to get the parents in the building before the end of the school year, so we're moving that up.
I never thought I'd say this after the event, but I'm so grateful for the warm temperatures when we did the middle school dedication and groundbreaking. I thought I was gonna die, but,
You didn't wear a
That was warm though.
Now
There's
it's-
it now.
yeah, we
You got a
wanna be-
layer.
We wanna be grateful, Scott, for what we have. Because if we did it today,
It'd be
he couldn't say enough about this is how we roll. and
Yeah,
all
I
that
know.
stuff. No, no.
Ken would have shortened that speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here. Let's go.
Need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I had one more remark.
I just
Oh, I'm
have
sorry.
one more remark.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get in on the good news of making our school look nicer. So, hey, thanks to Joe Gannon and the support, we are getting new carpet in the entryway here. We haven't ever had new carpet. So this will be going over spring break. So we're excited about that to make the entry
Just
look a
in the
little bit better.
entryway.
Yeah, just in the entryway. So we're excited. So this is the carpet sample that I brought in to do. So it should look really nice.
That's great. Thanks, Julie. Need a motion to adopt the agenda. So,
Second.
discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of minutes from previous meeting. Need a motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the consent agenda. Need a motion.
Move.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Superintendent report. Ken?
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board. So I'll move over here just because we've got some visuals, and I promise you, Bob, I'm gonna have economy of words. I'm working on it. So,
It's a cultural change.
that's right, working on it, trying to get better. So just a reminder of our 4 pillars. It's always important for any organization, especially a school district, to have rock solid mission, vision, goals, and values. So these are outlined on a 1-page document. Everything we do as a board should all be about our students. And every decision we make should be about bettering our community as a whole. And then our goal is to continue to get better and to be the best rural school district in our region. We talk about that because we want to build confidence in our students, because sometimes we do experience deficit thinking. I'm just from the country, I'm just from Riverside, you know, I can't accomplish what other kids can in the city, or whatever the case may be. And we want to fight that all the way, and we want to promote the idea that we believe in our kids first as adults, because they hear that tone, and then they begin to start believing in themselves. And what'll happen is that we'll create that high expectation culture where we will have kids, regardless of what zip code they come from, regardless of the income status of their families, regardless of whether the trauma that they've experienced, they will begin to believe that they can achieve things that they never thought they would believe before, because of the tone that we're setting as a board, all the way to our custodians, our bus drivers, our families, united in that kind of expectation. And then, you know, I've always said the secret sauce to the work we're doing is really around our shared values. And many districts list out a long list of values, goes in a desk drawer. People don't really remember what it is. And we do it just in one quick saying, and that's Team Riverside, belong, bond, believe. The idea of thinking about the best team each of us has ever been on, and visualizing, you know, can we be like that as a school district? Imagine, and we're not even close to where we can be, but imagine if every student, every staff member, every family felt like they belonged to something bigger than themselves. Imagine if everybody, students, staff, families, bonded through authentic relationships built on trust and openness. And imagine if every student, every staff member, every family believed in themselves and in each other and in the mission above their own self-interest. That would be a pretty powerful place. And we can do it. And we're making strides in that regard. We talk a lot about, if you can advance to the next slide, we talk a lot about this vision statement, and we talk about the way to get there is to have the best people, the best leaders, the best teachers, the best support staff, to have the best culture, how we behave, how we treat each other, how we act on a daily basis, and the best system. And so it's not all kumbaya. You know, it is getting results. It is about student learning, student outcomes, and having good systems, like becoming a high-performing professional learning community. Looking at systems on how we manage behavior, on how we develop the whole child. And then we can be good at a few things and not try to be everything to everyone. So I want to introduce some great opportunities that we have as we vision out the future of Riverside around the idea of, in addition to the best people, the best culture, the best system, is we have got to have a plan around our facilities. We need first-class facilities for our kids and for our community, in addition to those other aspects. So Matt and his team have challenged the district, the board, myself, to gather student enrollment data first to see, we know we're growing, but let's get a little bit of strong data to see what it really looks like. So I'm going to first present on that. Then I'm going to share with you and the community the priority list that the Facilities Advisory Committee, under Matt's leadership, have come up as a draft that is now going forward to be analyzed on the potential costs of those priorities. So let's go to the first slide and talk a little bit about student enrollment forecast. So here we go. So this is, and I'll go through this fairly quickly. It's not as long as Ben's presentation at that last meeting. Okay, it's very short. But this gives you an idea of what our enrollment has looked like the past 5 years. So the good thing is that it's in the right trajectory. So I don't know if you know this, but our district experienced declining enrollment for 22 years. And we are now on a trajectory where we're experiencing increase. And so even though we had a little bit of a issue with COVID, and I tell you right now, it's hard to know every factor around COVID. Like we lost some kids at some schools, but then they went to independent college. Or we lost them to different online programs. But we gained some kids too, so it's really difficult. But this gives you the pattern. So you'll notice that at the kindergarten level, in 5 years, we've gained 43 kindergartners. That's why we added a class at the chapel. You'll notice that most grade levels have increased. However, some have stayed fairly flat. And this is really indicative of running start. So students in junior, senior year can attend the community colleges or Eastern and get college credit and get it paid for through the state. So just an idea. So slow and steady, right? Next slide, please. This is broken down by school. So you'll notice Chattaroy, 35, Riverside Elementary, 62. Middle school stayed pretty flat. High school stayed pretty flat. But what's neat and kind of exciting is the high school has been our culprit a little bit in the past. You've seen a big dip in the junior, senior year, and we're really staying a lot flatter. And I think a lot of it has to do with tripling the number of college credits that we offer in the high school. Not to mention that I think we're trying to build a good culture, proud of the leadership there for setting the tone, the staff. So really much better on the high school. And then you'll notice Riverside Achievement is also a big increase. A lot of that has to do with creating a culture that's not a dumping ground. You know, where you're less than kids, now you're going to go to an alternative school. It's not like that. But here's a good option. It could be for a variety of kids. Might be some kids struggling, but it could be for really, really top-of-the-line kids who want to learn a little bit of a different environment. So, and then Christy Minzy Isaacs is the great gem out there. Next slide, please. So this is kind of interesting. First in kindergarten. So this tells us how many kids are being born in our district, within our district boundary. And what you'll notice is that the kindergarten rate, this is our big one. This is this year, right? Haley, this is the year of a big old group of kindergarten. So you go back 5 years to find out when they were born. So we can kind of estimate what it's going to look like. So what you'll notice is that it's not huge. And I actually think it's better for our district that it's slow and steady. Because if all of a sudden we just blew up, and we would like, how do you respond? What do? We don't have enough space, you know. So we already have a set of challenges with the increased enrollment, but it is slow and steady. So you'll notice that it's kind of flat and then picks up a little bit. And then kindergarten-wise, you're going to see, like next year, it's going to go back down a little bit. Now, this is not perfect science. But this is way better data from Flow Analytics than we could ever come up with. No offense, Ron. He's really good. But these are multi-measures, triangulated data. It's really, really good. So so next year, we may not need that additional kindergarten class. I'm not sure yet. We have to see. But those kids are going to go to first grade, right? So so you'll still see that's a good trajectory. Now, not everybody thinks growth is good, but I'm just telling you from a superintendent standpoint, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So let's advance. Now, this is our district enrollment forecast over 5 and 10 years. So in a nutshell, the red is the highest possibility, the blue is like the lowest, and then the middle is kind of a right on. Well, I will tell you that Flow Analytics told us that this is kind of a low ball estimate because it's a little bit difficult to find out from the county the development of properties. Because what they said was people just decide to sell their land, or maybe they want to develop their land, and then they call us up and we didn't know it was on. So this is based like on the lowest estimate. So we have to be ready for this. So what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, is we're talking about a 3% increase every year for the next 10 years. So you're talking 50 students a year for 5 500 kids. So we're gonna have a 30% increase in about 9 years, which is, again, is pretty slow and steady. It's not too crazy, but it is growth. So we need to be prepared. Let's go ahead and advance, please. This is by grade level. So the biggest growth is elementary, as you can see. So, you know, you're looking at 834 between the two elementaries. And right now we're at 2630. So you'd be having 200 students. Again, slow and steady. And then this is the high school. So you'll notice it's kind of flat, but the highest gets back up to almost 600. So some of you harken back to the days of 750 in the high school. So we're not getting to that point, but we're getting to 600 is a pretty big size. If you can go back a slide, I'm sorry if that's possible. So you know I'm always going to point out when we get the edge on Deer Park, right? Okay, so what's interesting about this data is that Deer Park is going to have 400 more students in 10 years. We're going to have 500 more students. So we're actually growing at a bigger percentage increase than Deer Park. It's counterintuitive because of just your optics when you drive into Deer Park. But the main thing they're finding is that 70% of their new homes, which they'll have 1,000 new homes in 10 years, are non-kids. So retirees or older families. And so you can't see it unless you drive off the highway too. So anyways, kind of interesting. So now we can advance if you don't mind. Middle school, if it truly did fall along this forecast, we'd be looking at 470 students in our middle school. And we have 320 right now. So we have to plan it. All right, let's go ahead and go forward here. Here's by school. So you'll notice that, again, it kind of breaks down the data on what, now this is the middle estimate. This isn't the highest. So you're looking at, for example, approaching 300 at Chatterton. Approaching over 500 at Riverside Elementary. So on and so forth. Go ahead and click forward if you don't mind, Caitlin. So are there any questions about enrollment before I go to the last phase, which is the facility priorities? Was that,
Where are we gonna put them?
is that, Bob, is that a little bit better?